What is up? Good evening, my friendos, my hambronies, my chicken nuggets, my peeps, my pops, everybody out there. It is good to see you tonight. I am so excited. We've got some awesome stuff planned tonight. I've got a funny video for you. We've got an awesome game and an awesome message for you. And I want you guys to make sure you stay to the end of the video because I got some information for you that I'm going to give you for you to be able to win a special $10 Starbucks gift card. It's gonna be awesome. I'm so glad that you are here today. If you wanna take a second, go ahead and share this, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. Go ahead and share this video. Get all of your friends together. We would love to be able to share in this moment together. With that, I want to let you guys see something here, because I don't know if you have some sort of irrational fear. Maybe it's a fear of spiders. Maybe it's a fear of heights. Maybe it's a fear of darkness. I know there's some really irrational and like strange fears out there. But one of the fears that might be common for some of you guys, especially those of you with YouTube's accounts, might be a fear of getting sick and having your mom take over your YouTube channel. That would be terrifying. So make sure you check out this video because this could be you.
Alex video game review.
Nothing.
Hi, everybody. No, I'm not Alex. I'm his mom. My little Alex had a sick in bed behind me. He's got a sinus infection, and the things that are coming out of him are just icky.
Oh,
gross.
Mom,
green.
please, you're embarrassing me and you're sitting way too close to the camera.
Oh, is it better?
Oh.
And honey, lay back down. You gotta be elevated by 2 pillows if you want that mucus to drain. Okay, here we go. Since Alex is sick, I'll be taking over his video game review channel today.
Guys, please don't unfollow me. I'm so sorry.
Hush, they're gonna love me. Okay, let's get into it. I got a nail appointment with Janine at 4. What's the first game, hun?
It's Apex Legends.
Oh, this one with the friends and the birdie sidekick?
What? No! That's not a birdie sidekick. That's Bloodhound's crow. It helps him be a technological tracker.
Okay, I'm ready to review this game.
Oh, please, no.
My favorite is the cutie in the front who's holding Jell-O.
That's not Jell-O. Wraith's superpower is manipulating space-time.
Okay, it's like the Wonder Years.
Oh.
And these 3 best friends are like Kevin, Paul, and Winnie Cooper. And it's exactly like the Wonder Years, but they got a little birdie sidekick like Chicken Little.
What? Mom, no, they're not. That's not.
And they get into all sorts of silly shenanigans, just like the Golden Girls. Oh, and it's exactly like the Golden Girls, but with a bird.
No. Mom, no, Apex Legends is a battle
Hun.
royale game. It's got weapons and fighting, and
Lay
it's
back
awesome.
down. Let the mucus drain. I'm sorry I yelled. Hun, what's the next game?
Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, this one with the friends camping?
No. Mom, they're not camping.
Well, this little dinosaur turtle's making a fire and they're about to eat s'mores.
No. Bowser is a demon king,
Okay,
Mom.
I'm ready to review this game. It's like Garfield.
Nope.
And it's exactly like Garfield, but also the Smurfs.
Nope.
Except, it's like these best friends, they go camping, like in Full House, but that episode of Full House where they go camping.
No. Mom, Super Smash Brothers is a crossover fighting video game. It's not like the Full House or the Smurfs or the episode of Garfield where they go camping.
But
okay?
also, this mutant ninja turtle can make fire. And he feels misunderstood.
No, it's Bowser.
Honey, mucus! I'm sorry I yelled, hun. What's the next game?
It's Halo 6 Infinite.
Oh, these Power Rangers are in love! Okay, I'm ready to review this game. It's like angels in the outfield.
What?
But the angels are Transformers. And it's like the Wonder Years. And it's like if Kevin and Winnie Cooper were Transformers who were also angels. And they go on this ski trip and they fall in love.
No, Mom, Halo is not that.
Okay, that's all the time we have for today. I gotta go. Janine's waiting for me. I'm getting French tips. Alex, this This was fun. Maybe if you're feeling better next week, we can do this together.
Jake, no, please, no. Guys, please
Honey,
don't follow me.
mucus! I'm sorry I yelled. Bye-bye.
Hey, we've got an awesome game tonight. It's gonna be super fun. Make sure that you get your family together. Maybe you're watching with your family. Maybe you got some friends around. Go ahead, everyone get together, get ready, because we're gonna get into this game here in a second. And this is a competition with your household. So make sure everyone records their answers. Make sure everyone gets there. If you're playing by yourself though, you can go ahead and comment your answers on the video, and that will work just as fine. Today we're gonna play a game called Why Does This Exist? I don't know if you've ever seen a piece of thing on the ground or on a shelf or in a workshop or something like that, and you're like, what in the world is this thing? What possible purpose does this have? Well, we're gonna help you guys out, and we're gonna find and show you some of these items to you, and we're gonna help you show what these items are and what they do, so you no longer are sitting in your dad's garage quizzically looking at something going, what in the world is this thing? So we're gonna play Why Does This Exist? Are you all ready? Go to the bathroom, grab your snacks, get buckled in. We're gonna get ready and we're gonna get going on this game. Why does this exist? Ready, our first question here. What is this? Is it a Hilligan bar? It's a forcible entry tool used by police and firefighters to reach hard to access places. Or is it called a Platts sower? Is it a gardening tool primarily used for arid climates to prepare tough soil for planting crops? What is this thing? You only have a couple seconds, so give it your first guess. Unless you already know what this thing is, you're probably not gonna know what it is off the top of your head. So just go with your first gut instinct. Just type in 1 or 2. Give us your answer, 1 or 2. Here we go. The answer is, it is a Halligan. I think it's pronounced Halligan. It's a Halligan bar used by firefighters and police to enter places that would be hard to reach otherwise. All right, here we go. Question number 2. What is this thing? Is it a common baby toy that was created to teach geometrical concepts to small children and for chewing on while they're teething? Or is it called a cable manager that separates and organizes your electronic cables? This one might be a little bit easier. You might know this one. Go ahead, grab your answer, throw it down in the comment section or write it on the piece of paper in front of you. Make sure you keep track of who got it right and what you got wrong, so that we know who won in your house. The answer for this one is, it is a cable manager. It separates and organizes your cables so that they are separated and organized. Very useful. All right, next question. What is this? Is it known as an automobile blood pressure reader that checks the pressure and spacing in your car's shocks? Or is this called an inflatable shim and it holds a door or window open while you're working on a project with it? What is it? 1 or 2, write it down or throw it in the comment section. What is it? What is this one? I initially thought it was a medical thing, but then I looked at it and how would that ever be used in the medical field? So I was wrong. What is this? The answer is, it is an inflatable shim used to keep doors or windows open so that whatever project you're working on, it doesn't, close on your hands. That would be kind of painful. So, next question. Is this a double-sided fishing magnet that's used for finding metal objects? Or is this a small weight that's added to a fishing line to help control casting? What is this one? Well, so far we know that this is involved in fishing some way. So if you are a fisher or a fisherman of some type, then you probably know what the answer is. Get your answer in. The answer is, it is a double-sided fishing magnet. It's used for finding small objects, like if you drop a razor blade down your car's engine. I have done that before. So, yeah. So, fishing magnet. Here we go. Next question. Is this I don't even know how to pronounce that, an adze? Is it called an adze? It's a carving tool that's used to smooth wood for woodworking. Or is it called a zadi? It's a demolition aid that's used to shave paint and residue off dry walls. This is a wood smoother or a paint shaver. Wood smoother or a paint shaver. 1 or 2, submit your answer right quick. Be super snappy about it. Don't diddly-daddly, don't doodly-doo. Don't think about it, just slap that answer down. Here we go. The answer is, it's called an adze. I swear I'm mispronouncing that. Adze? Adze? I don't know. It's a carving tool. It's used to smooth out wood during the woodworking process. I've never seen or used that before, so that's a little helpful tip there. So, next question. Is it called a garby? A simple tool used to space out objects during woodworking and crafting, or is it a darby? It's a simple tool used to flatten out concrete. Which one is it? Is it a wood spacer or is it a concrete flattener? If you've ever done construction before, you probably know what this tool is. Don't cheat, don't tell people who are playing the answer if you know what it is. You can play, just put your answer down, give it a good guess, give it a good whirl. 1 or 2, the answer is, it is a darby, a simple tool used to flatten and smooth out concrete. Yeah, they probably use this tool in the construction of our community center. Fun fact. Here we go. Is this a talking toilet paper spindle? Meaning, is it the thing that goes in between your toilet paper and it talks to you? Or is it a portable carbon monoxide detector? Both of which I would almost never have a use for. But which one is it? 1 or 2, 1 or 2, talking toilet paper spindle, portable carbon monoxide detector. What is it? The answer is, it is a talking toilet paper spindle. You probably didn't guess that one because I would not have guessed that one. I would not have guessed that one. That one, would not have guessed. But I don't know what it says to you. Like, what's it gonna say to you? Is it gonna say thank you every time you take off toilet paper? I mean, like, what is it gonna say? I don't know. Anyway, is this a small device that you wear on the side of your head and it uses electrical impulses to help you feel relaxed and calm? Or are they special hearing aids that can interact wirelessly with smartphones even when there's no data or Wi-Fi signal? I think I have a guess, but we'll see what happens. But I think I know which one it is. Which one is it though? Is it a calming electrical device for your head, or is it a super futuristic hearing aid? Which one is it? Submit your answers real quickly. The answer in 3, 2, 1. The answer is, it is a device that you wear on your head that keeps you calm. You know what's another device that you can carry that keeps you calm? It's called the Bible. Just FYI. All right, what is this tool? Is this a handheld tool that can be filled with oil and is used to cut glass with perfect precision? Or is it the point of this fine pressure razor can be applied to wood or metal to mark where a nail or screw should be inserted? What is it? Is it a glass cutter or a wood marker? Not a wood marker, like it's not like a marker that's wood, it marks the wood. This, clear it out. The answer is, it is a glass cutter. I didn't know you were supposed to fill them with oil though. I guess that makes sense, so it's not like, while you're cutting the wood. I don't know. I guess that's what the comic people did when they were like, whoosh, and they like cut the little hole in the glass. I don't know. don't even know if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, is this called a freight point? It's filled with sand or other granular material to create sharp impressions on a surface. Or is this called a plumb bomb? Since ancient Egypt, it has been used as a lever to indicate whether a surface is horizontal. I actually know what this one is. I have seen and I've actually used one of these before. I will not give away the answer, but I know what this one is. At least I'm pretty certain it is. Get your answer in. 3, 2, 1, put your answer in. I think it's a plumb bomb. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but the real answer is, it is a plumb bomb. I was right. It's a plumb bomb. You hang it on like a string and you attach it to somewhere and it tells you if like the surface is like horizontal or not. They're pretty cool. Real ancient Egyptian stuff. That is our last question. Tally up all of your answers. Make sure that you have how many you got right. Tell me who won, or at least tell me the number that you got correct in the comments below or on the side, wherever the comments are. Tell us who won in your house. Were you the winner or did you get the most right? Give us your answers. We want to know. Otherwise, thank you so much for playing today. It's gonna be an awesome night tonight. I hope that you all are excited for what's happening next. Hey guys, I just want to let you know about a couple things that are happening here. The first one is our t-shirts. We are so super excited about our t-shirts that are coming in. They're $10 a t-shirt, super cheap. You go ahead and you can find the link in the description and go there and to reserve a t-shirt. Make sure you do that because next week is the last day for you to be able to reserve a t-shirt. So make sure you go there, fill out the form. It won't take very long. Reserve yourself a t-shirt. The other thing I want to let you guys know about is Spencer Lake is still happening as of right now. So make sure you go to the link in the description. That is open tonight, actually. Tonight is the night that link opens. So go ahead, go there, reserve yourself a spot, and yeah, it's gonna be a really awesome time. Juniors and seniors are going on different weeks, so make sure you sign up to the correct week. Those are weeks 2 and 4. Make sure juniors are going to the correct one and seniors are going, junior high is going to the correct one and senior high is going to the correct one. Super excited for the summer. It is going to be super awesome and we'll see you there. The last thing I want to let you guys know about is something I'm super excited for. In 3 days, that's this Friday at 6:30, me and Andrew DeBone, we are going to be on Twitch and we are going to have a live game stream. Me and him are just going to be going head to head on a fighting game and we're going to be talking and it's going to be really awesome. But you guys get a very special part in this. You get to ask the questions because we're going to be answering questions that are asked of us. And they can be any question, really anything. And we have to try to answer that and talk about it while we're playing this game and going back and forth to each other. So make sure you tune in for that. Have some questions ready. It is going to be awesome and we are super excited about that. All right, everyone, I hope you had a really good time with that game, but we're going to transition really quick here into our message for tonight. We've been going through a series called Doubt It, and we've been talking about doubts and questions we might have in our faith and in our lives. But really quick before we get started today, I want you guys to look at a couple of these signs and help me out with this. So this is our first sign. Ding. This is our first sign. You kind of all know what this sign is. You see the sign everywhere. It's a stop sign. You get it. You go to the sign. You stop. You look. No one's there. You can keep going. Got it? Okay, that's pretty good. Go to our next sign. Now, if you haven't been driving at all, you probably might not know this sign, but I'd say pretty much 80 to 90% of everyone watching this knows what this sign means. It means that you can't do a U-turn here. You can't just go rip and turn right around. And that's kind of obvious by that sign. But if we go to our next sign here, we put up this sign. This is a really confusing sign. You might be able to guess this if you're like smarter than me. You probably will be able to guess this one. I did not know what this sign was. I had to look it up. If you might be quizzing yourself, what is this sign? I don't know. What do you think the sign is? The sign is a narrow bridge ahead sign. It means that there's a bridge coming up and the bridge is narrow. And I would not have guessed that from this. I was thinking that the road was losing weight, maybe. I don't know. But it's a narrow bridge sign. But if we go to our next sign, this sign is just downright confusing. Right lane must right left. I mean, how do I right left? Maybe I'll just stay in the left lane and then I can left right there. I don't know. It's so confusing and it's just so contradictory. And then we go to our last sign here, which is two signs. And it says, do not enter. And then it says, enter only. And you like look at the sign and you're like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't enter, but I can only enter. And it's like, why and how and what do I do? And you know, some of these signs are easy to understand and we get them and we look at them, we know exactly what they mean. But then some of these signs are like really difficult and unclear. And isn't that kind of the way it is with life sometimes? That sometimes we have signs that are super clear and directions from God, and we're like, this is exactly what I'm supposed to do. I know this, let's go. And then other times we get signs that are like super confusing and we have no idea, and they kind of seem like they're contradicting themselves, and you're like, what is God doing? And our doubts and questions can leave us feeling lost and confused and wishing we had a sign that was super clear and easy in a direction, like an easy direction for us to go. The last few weeks we've been talking about doubts and questions and what we do with doubts and questions. And this week we're going to wrap up our discussion in our final week here. We're going to wrap up our conversation with talking about what do we do when we're questioning what God wants us to do. Now, I'm pretty positive. I'm 90% positive that no one can see into the future. And if you can, I would like you to come to my office and I would like to have a little bit of a talk with you and study you and figure you out and how that works. But if you can't see into the future, you really don't know exactly what the future is going to look like. I mean, it's kind of obvious. I mean, you have no idea what job you're going to have in the future. You don't know where you will be working in 10 years. You don't know who you're going to marry, how many kids you're going to have. You don't know where you're going to live. If you're going to stay here, move to a different country. You don't know that, and you don't know how or when or where you're going to retire or when you're going to pass away and all of that stuff. And I know we have hopes and we have goals and we have guesses as to the answers to those questions, but none of us know for sure. So unless you believe that you're someone that can look into the future, unless you're someone that can see into the future, which again, I want to talk to you, but unless you're that, the direction of our lives and the decisions we make sometimes can be largely unknown, and that is very, very scary. So today, we're going to look at several people who had questions about what God was telling them to do and where God was leading them and what they did about it. And first off, we're going to be starting with me. I went to North Central University when I was going to college, and around my sophomore year of college, we were goofing around in our dorm, and I busted open a sprinkler. A lot of you know this story already. I ripped the sprinkler off the ceiling, lots of water, lots of damage. It was not a fun time for me. It's a hilarious story now and I talk about it, but it was actually really stressful for me. It was not a fun time, and I got in trouble with the people, and I had a fine, and then because of the stress and everything that was going on, and I was in leadership at that time, I was leading the floor, our dorm room area. And it was just, there's so much that was going on. There was so much weighing me, and my grades were going down. At that point in my college career, I was seriously considering dropping out of college. I felt like I couldn't do it. I felt like I couldn't make it through, and it was very hard. And it got to a point where I had to make a decision. I had to make a decision. I'm either going to have to fight through this, I'm either going to have to tough through this, or I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do if this doesn't pan out. And so I had to wrestle with that. And today, we're we're going to look at some people who were in some similar situations, because it's easy to determine. Well, it wasn't easy, I should say. It wasn't easy which path and decision I was supposed to make, which way I was supposed to go. It wasn't easy for me to make the decision I did. And I wanted so badly just God be like, hey, look, you know what? This is what I want you to do. Just do this thing. A nice blinking light in the sky saying, Wayland, make this decision. But God didn't do that. And that's not the way that God answered my question. Now, the decision I had to make was difficult, but it was nothing compared to a decision that a woman had to make in the Bible. That woman's name was Esther. So we're going to go turn to Esther. It's a book in the Bible. Grab your Bibles, grab your phone Bible, whatever Bible you have. I'm using my phone. Go turn to Esther 2. We're going to be starting in Esther 2. I'm going to read through them. You can read through with me really quickly. And we'll go through it together. But you can go ahead, pause the video, grab your Bible, open up to Esther 2. Now, a couple different things you should know about Esther and the story of Esther before we get into it. See, there was a king of Persia. His name was Xerxes. Very powerful king, very important dude. And Xerxes did not follow God in any way, any stretch of the imagination. Xerxes did not follow God. But there was a lot of Jews in his kingdom, and a lot of them did follow God. Now, Xerxes had a wife, and one day Xerxes got slammed, and he got real angry at his wife because his wife wouldn't parade herself around in front of other important figures, and he wanted to show her off. And she's like, no, I'm not a piece of meat. And he got real mad at her, and he threw her out of the kingdom and basically ended the marriage and stuff. I know, super awesome dude. So it's kind of where we pick up in the stories. King Xerxes is looking for women across the nation of Persia for people that would be his next wife, whether they really liked it or not. So, Esther 2, here we go. After these things, when the anger of King Ahasuerus, probably butchered his name, after the anger of king had abated, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what had been decreed against her. When the king's young men who attended him said, let beautiful young virgins be sought out for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the province of his kingdom to gather all of the beautiful young virgins to the harem of Susa in the citadel under the custody of Haggai, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women. Let their cosmetics be given to them, and let the young woman who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti. This pleased the king, and he did so. Now, there was a Jew in Susa, the citadel, whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, son of Kish, a Benjamite, who had been carried away from Jerusalem among the captives carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away. Some genealogy for you. He was bringing up Hadash, that is Esther, the daughter of his uncle, for she had neither father nor mother. The young woman had a very beautiful figure and was lovely to look at, and when her father and mother died, Mordecai took her on as his own daughter. So when the king's order and his edict was proclaimed, and the many young women were gathered in Susa, Esther was also taken into the king's palace and put in custody. And the young women pleased him and won his favor, and he quickly provided her with her cosmetics and her portion of food, and with 7 chosen young women from the king's palace, and advanced her and her young women to the best place in the harem. So Esther had not made known of her people that she was a Jew, or her kindred, her relative, for Mordecai had commanded her not to make him known. And every day Mordecai walked in front of the court of the harem to learn how Esther was and what was happening to her. Now, when the turn came for each young woman to go into when each young woman to go, when it came their turn, wow, I'm struggling right now. When it was the turn for the young woman to go before the king, she was given whatever she desired to take with her from the harem to the king's place. In the evening, she would go in the morning, she would return to this second harem in custody of the king's eunuch, who was in charge of the concubines. She would not go into the king again unless the king delighted in her, and he summoned her. When the time came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her as her own daughter, to go into the king, she asked for nothing except the king's eunuch to accompany her, who was in charge of the woman. Now Esther was winning favor in the eyes of all who saw her, and when Esther was taken into the king, into his royal palace, the king loved Esther more than all the other women, and she won grace and favor in his sight more than anyone else. So she set the royal crown on her head, and he made her queen. Then the king gave a great feast, and they celebrated, for it was Esther's feast, and she was now the queen. He also granted a remission of taxes to the province and gave gifts with royal generosity. So this whole thing happened, and Esther was a beautiful young woman, and whether she liked it or not, she became queen with Xerxes. Now, when the virgins were gathered together a second time, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. Esther had not made known of him as Mordecai commanded her, for Esther obeyed Mordecai just as when she was brought up by him. In those days, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, and he heard two of the king's eunuchs gathered at the threshold, became angry, and sought to lay hands on the king. Basically, Mordecai was chilling at the gate waiting for Esther, and he heard two guys were hashing out to do harm to the king. And this came to the knowledge of Mordecai, and he told it to Esther, and Esther told the king in the name of Mordecai. So he told Esther, Esther told the king that he told her. So, yes. When they were investigated and Mordecai's word was found out to be true, the men were punished, they were hanged, and it was recorded. So, it's a little bit of a story there. We're going to get into it a little bit more. But if you can imagine you in Esther's place right now, if you were in Esther's situation, what do you think you would have questioned or doubt? I mean, if you were like Esther and that was going on, what would you have been thinking? What would you have been questioning and saying to God? I'd be going okay, why me? Why is this all happening to me? This isn't really something that I wanted to do. Why is this happening to me? Maybe you would be asking a different question. Comment your question. What would you have doubted or questioned during this time? And it might have been good to be the queen for Esther, but this situation was actually a little dangerous for Esther. So we're going to get into that thing in a little bit here. So if you want to go ahead with me, turn to Esther chapter 3. This is the next chapter. I'm going to kind of summarize a little bit because we don't have time for me to read everything. So after all of that, the king promoted this dude named Haman and advanced him and set him as to be his advisor. All the king's servants bowed to Haman. Haman was a pretty important dude. So then the king's servants who were at the king's gate said to Mordecai, "Why do you transgress on the king's command?" And when they spoke to him day after day, he would not listen to them, and they told Haman. So basically Mordecai's at the gate, and the servants are like, "Bro, why are you here?" And Haman is like, "I can do what I want." So when Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow down or pay homage to him, Haman was filled with fury, because he was an arrogant dude, filled with fury, and he disdained and hated Mordecai and wanted to harm him. So as they had made known to him the people of Mordecai, Haman sought to destroy all the Jews. So basically Haman, this arrogant dude, Mordecai's not paying honor and respect to him, and he's like, "I'm going to kill all those people." Obvious, good, jump of logic there. So in the first month of the 12th year, they cast lots, they gambled, before Haman, and they, sorry, I lost my place. So then Haman said to the king, "There is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among all the peoples and provinces of your kingdom. Their laws are different from yours, and they don't do the same things we, and they don't abide by the same rules as we. So if it pleases the king, let it be decreed that they would be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those who have charge of the king's business, that they may put it into the king's treasury. So the king took his signet ring and gave Haman permission to basically slaughter all of the Jews. And he gave him some money to do so. Then the king's scribes were summoned on the 13th day of the first month, and an edict according to all that Haman commanded was written and it was declared to all the people in all of the provinces throughout all the kingdom, and it was sealed by the king, so it was pretty legit. Letters sent by the couriers to all the king's provinces with instructions to destroy, kill, to annihilate Jews, young and old, women and children. A copy of the document was to be issued as a decree to every province, a proclamation to all the people to be ready for that day. So the couriers went out and they hurried by, or the king had decreed this issue throughout the whole kingdom. And the king and Haman were like, all right, now that we've elected to kill all these people, let's have a drink. And so they sat down while the city of Susa was thrown into confusion. So can you understand now why Esther's situation was dangerous? Esther herself was a Jew. She was kind of forced and dealt this hand that she didn't really want to have, and so now she's the queen. She's the queen of a king who has a history of disrespecting women and abusing his wives and not being a super awesome dude. And so she's with this guy, and now she's in a position where she's in like a lot of danger. All her people are going to be killed, and she's one of those people, so she might also be killed. So if you were in Esther's position, at this point, what would you be asking God? I would still be asking the same question. I'd be like, okay, before I was like, why? And now I'm like, why? And so I would just be super confused. I'm like, God, why did you put me in this position? I don't think I would really be able to see down the road the decision I would have to make for all of that. But if you know the story of Esther at all, you know that Mordecai asks her to go and beseech upon the king, which was a super dangerous task because she goes before the king and he hasn't really summoned her. He can just straight up just kill her. And we know he would because he kind of threw his wife out because she didn't do what he told her to do. So, but Mordecai tells her to do the super dangerous thing, to ask the king not to do it, basically. So Esther does this whole elaborate thing where she like goes on a date with him and she woos him, and there's this whole thing, and she like draws it out, and she finally asks him, hey, and this is who I am. I'm a Jew, and your decree is to kill all of the Jews, and you're going to kill me, and I ask you not to do this. And the king said, okay. See, Esther made a difficult choice in an uncertain time, and she saved the lives of God's people as a result. Now, if you notice in this book, God never speaks in this book. God never says, hey, Esther, this is what you're supposed to do. Or God never even talks to Mordecai. It doesn't even seem like there's any direct interaction with God in this story at all. But that does not mean that God is not involved. I'm guessing Esther probably went to God in prayer at some point, and Mordecai probably prayed about what she was going to do. But we all know for sure that she sought the advice of a godly person. She sought the advice of Mordecai of, hey, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know why this is here. And Mordecai says, God put you in this position for this specific reason. He's here, and this is why God has done this for you. So God interacted through Mordecai. There's no direct speaking, but because of Mordecai and because of God being in his life, he was able to help Esther out. So we're going to turn to a different chapter here. We're going to flip over to 1 Kings. That's in the Old Testament. It's before 2 Kings. Hey, so if you want to go ahead and turn there now, I'm going to turn on my Bible, and we're going to go to 1 Kings chapter 19. 1 Kings 19. I'll give you a second here to turn to there, or you can just pause the video. But 1 Kings chapter 19, first verse. If you want to read along with me, you can, but my translation is a little bit different than yours, but that's okay. So, here you go. 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 1. Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, "So may the gods do to me and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by this time tomorrow." Then he was afraid, and he rose, and he ran for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a broom tree, and he asked that he might die. He said, "Is it enough now, O Lord? Take my life now, for I am no better than my fathers." And he lay down and slept under a broom tree. And behold, an angel touched him and said to him, "Arise and eat." And he looked, and behold, there at his head was a cake baked on hot stones and a jar of water. And he ate and drank, and then he lay down again. Then the angels of the Lord came again for a second time and touched him and said, "Arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you." And he arose and ate and drank, and went in the strength of that food for 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mount of God. There he came to a cave and lodged in it. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and he said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And he said, "I have been very jealous for the Lord, the God of hosts. For the people of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. And I only am left, and they seek my life to take it away." And he said, "Go out and stand on the mount before the Lord." And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind tore the mountains and broke pieces of it off of the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, the sound of a low whisper. And when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. And behold, there came a voice to him and said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He said, "I have been very jealous for you, Lord, for the people of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away." And the Lord said to him, "Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus. When you arrive, you shall anoint Hazael to be king over Syria. And Jehu, the son of Nimshi, you shall anoint to be king over Israel. And Elisha, the son of Shaphat of Abel-Melona, you shall anoint to be the prophet in your place. And the one who escapes from the sword of Hazael shall Jehu put to death. And the one who escapes from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha put to death. Yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel, and all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him." So, Elijah just performed this big miracle, this big power move on his part, where he just completely destroyed all of the evilness and the evil religion that was inside Israel. And he did this big show of God's power. And right after that happened, his life was threatened. So Elijah did the very first thing he did. He ran. I mean, if you were in Elijah's position, what position do you think what questions do you think you would have been asking God? I mean, if you were just did this big, awesome thing, and now your life is being threatened by a nation, and you're on the run, and you're just going, you're running for your life. I mean, what would you be asking God? What would you be questioning? I mean, I feel like I'd be the same as Elijah. I mean, at that point, everything is gone with Elisha. All of the people that worshiped with him, all of the people that have all of the buildings, everything he known either turned away or was killed. And so it's just Elijah at this point. And he's just like, "I'm ready to be done. I'm just ready to be done. Just take me away. I'm done." God's instructions at the end in verses 15 through 18 might seem irrelevant or boring at first glance. God tells Elijah, "Go appoint this person, then appoint this person, then appoint this person." They might seem a little bit boring, but they're actually incredibly important. You see, God told Elijah to seek a support system. He told, "Hey, I want you to go appoint this guy, and then he's going to help you, and then appoint this guy, and then he's going to help you, and then appoint this guy, and he's going to be the person that takes your place." And God gave him and told him to go find a group of people that can support him. Even though Elijah had been comforted by God himself, an angel was there, fed him, and he slept, and he ate again, and then he slept again. And so even though God was there, God talked to him, God knew Elijah still needed other godly people to help him carry on. See, the thing is when we're experiencing confusion or uncertainty or fear, it's so easy to question what we're supposed to do next and why God has put us in this position and why this is happening. And it's so easy to question and just be like, I don't know, and have so many doubts. But Scripture, and we talked about this last week, Scripture never promises that God will directly tell us what to do next. God might not all the way answer our questions. But if there's one thing we learn from the stories of Esther and Elijah, is that God shows us godly people. God will bring in people to help us figure it out sometimes. So how do we make decisions when we're not sure what God would want us to do next? We get a support system, because godly people can help us with our questions. If you remember back to my story back in college when I broke the sprinkler and I was thousands of dollars of a fine in debt, and I had my grades failing, and I was super stressed out, and I had to make the decision about whether I was going to continue on in college or I was going to drop out. And I was wrestling with this decision, and I wasn't really getting anything from God either. I remember there were two distinct people. Some of you know Papa G, and then my RA, his name was Aaron. They kind of came into my life and they helped me. They prayed for me, and then they gave me really timely advice about, like, hey, you know what? God called you here for a reason. God put you here for a reason, and he's not expecting you to dip out now. And it was incredibly helpful. And because of that, I was encouraged, and I was able to make a decision to continue with North Central and to continue my degree and to graduate. And I think that's the reason why I was able to make it through North Central and follow the path that God had for me. Because we need a network and a support of godly people in our lives to help us make the wise decision, to help guide us along the path that God has for us. I don't know if you know the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It's kind of a little bit of an older show, and they would ask people questions and everything like that, and if they got the questions right, they would earn money and everything like that. But they had an option on the show. It was called Phone a Friend. And so if you were stuck and you needed some advice on it, you could use your Phone a Friend option, and you could call someone that you knew and seek their advice and seek their knowledge to help answer the question. And in the same way of life, we have people that we know that are our friends to help us make advice and to help us learn and to follow the path that God has for us. So we're going to do a little bit of an activity today. I want you to go ahead, grab your journal, grab your notebook, grab a piece of paper, something that won't get lost, that won't get tossed away, and grab a pen. Go ahead, do that now. You can pause the video. I will wait. Grab a piece of paper and pen. Okay, so now that you have your paper and your pen, we're going to talk about different categories. And for each category, I want you to write a name or two of someone that fits that category in your life. And you can use the same person in multiple different categories. That's okay. Your first category, write cheerleader. Cheerleader. Who do you go to when you need encouragement and positivity? Someone that can give you an extra dose of happiness in your life. If you're feeling down and depressed, who's the person that you go to help cheer you up? Who's your cheerleader? Once you have that, you go ahead and write the next category down, counselor. Who is your counselor? Who always gives you great advice? Who, if you're in a dilemma and you're in a sticky situation, or you're just confused about what decision you're supposed to make next, who do you ask for the good advice to move forward? Who do you trust to help you make the next step? Who's your counselor? Your next category is coach. Who can you always depend on to motivate you, to help you meet your goals, whether they would be financial or physical exercise goals, whatever goals you have. Who's a coach? Who's someone that can help keep you accountable and motivate you to do that? Next is your mentor. Who's your mentor? Who is an older person who has an ongoing relationship with you, who makes you better, and who you trust that to share the details of what's going on in your life? Who would you say is your mentor? Someone that helps you become a better person. Who's mentoring you? Then your next category is pastor. Now, maybe this person has the official title pastor, or maybe they don't. But who is guiding and advising you in your faith? Who's helping you develop a deeper relationship with God? Who would you say is your pastor? The next category is your confidant. Now, this one's spelled C-O-N-F-I-D-A-N-T-E. Confidant. It's a little tricky of a spelling. Who do you trust with your deepest secrets? This should be someone who's safe, someone who's trusted, and someone who's wise. Someone that you trust to give your deepest, darkest part of yourself to. Who do you trust? Who is your confidant? And then lastly, your last category is your prayer support. Prayer support. This could be one person or this could be a group of people. You can write a bunch of names down. But who is the people that you can go to and say, hey, you know what? I really need prayer for this reason. Who is the people that you trust will actually pray for you for that reason? So if you need to go back and go through each category again, you can go ahead and do that. But make sure you try to find a name or two for each category. But I do want to encourage you with something. Maybe you're sitting there and you're like, you know what? I have no name for someone to be my cheerleader. I have no name for someone to be my coach or to be my confidant. You know, God, we're just talking about it. God can send people into your life that are godly and that will help you make the right decisions to help fill those roles. You just need to pray. Pray and ask God, I really need someone to be my cheerleader, or I really need a coach. Would you please send someone in my life to fill that role? And God will. I've had it done to me before. I've prayed and I've had someone step into my life in that role. So you can pray for someone to fill a role that you might not have filled. And you know, these people won't guarantee that they'll always make the right decisions and they'll always have the right answers. But when we're uncertain about where God is leading us and what's going on, they'll at least make good decisions. They'll at least help point you in the right direction and help guide you to become better people and a closer relationship with God. You see, over these last couple weeks, we've learned a lot about doubts and questions. About having doubts and questions is normal because you're not alone in your questions. And God doesn't shame us for our questions. In fact, He gives us the evidence that we need in order to believe. God doesn't shame us for our questions. And last week, we learned about when life is painful and disappointing and hurtful, that our questions sometimes don't always get answered. But God is with us in the midst of it, and that is good. And then this week we learned about how when we're questioning about and doubting about where God has us and where He's leading us, we know that God will send godly people to help us answer our questions. So as we close this series and as we close this conversation, I want to make sure that you guys learn and you remember two things from this. The first is that you don't have to be afraid or ashamed of your doubts and questions. It's okay to have doubts. It's okay to have questions. And secondly, that you feel safe enough that it is okay here at NL Youth for you to ask and to voice your questions and doubts. When you have questions or you have a doubt and you need to process it, I hope that you know that we love you and we care for you and that we want to help you through your doubts and questions. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I'm so glad that you are here. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that you laughed, and I hope that you won the game that we played tonight. Hey, I want to let you know really quick about a way that you can win a Starbucks gift card. There's two things that you can do, because I'm going to be drawing names out of a hat next Wednesday morning. A week from today, we are going to be drawing a name. The way that you can get your name into the hat is two ways. The first one is talk about how you are leveling up during lockdown. Last week I talked about not allowing this time to be just a time that we stagnate and zone out and just veg out on a screen. But this is a time that we can level up ourselves, that we can learn something new, that we can train our bodies better, that we can be active or do something that we've never done before. So whether that's going on walks more, maybe that's some more exercise like push-ups or something, or reading a new book, or learning to code, or learning a language or something like that. Make a post about how you are leveling up during quarantine. Use the hashtag level up and tag NL Youth in it. That's option one. The second option is that you can publish your faith. Publish what you believe in Jesus. Maybe talk about your testimony and how you went from one way and Jesus impacted you and you went to a different spot. Maybe talk through something about in the Bible or something about God that's working in your heart and how that's been impacting you. Use the hashtag publish and tag NL Youth in it. If you can do either one of those, you get your name entered into the hat. If you do both of those, then you get your name entered twice. So if you want to put your name out there, you want to get it a prize and get a Starbucks gift card, make sure you do one of those two things. Otherwise, I'm so glad that you guys tuned in. I will see you again next week.